Okay, so I'll get a better look at them in better light. Obviously it's a bit dull in the workshop. You can see there, we just zoom in, the 3-year guarantee. Three-year guarantee on there. So you go 10 to 19 millimeters. It's a polished chrome plated finish. It is polished, and it's drop forged chrome vanadium steel. So obviously, which grade of that chrome vanadium steel, you know, for the price, you know, obviously I wouldn't expect it to be the absolute best. I don't think anybody would. But, you know, it's going to be perfect really for what you want to use it for, which is those hard to reach areas on your motorbike or your car, for example, whereas you can't, the usual combination spanners are too long, so you can't get it in there, whereas these nice stubby ones you'll be able to get in those hard to reach areas. And it's got a double hex or a 12-point ring on the end, on the ring spanner part, or as the Americans I've just found out like to call it, the box end, man. Well, there you go, chrome CRV, chrome vanadium. So yep, they're quite a nice polish finish, although they do get your fingerprints all on them there, as you can see. That's something you gotta watch out for. It has been laser etched with the Amtech logo on there. Now it does come obviously with a little holding rack case, but it's fairly deep, so you'll need a long hook or nail that sticks out, protrudes fairly long way out from the wall to get around that hook. As you can see, it's fairly wide there, and it's right in the middle of the top. And you've got two. That's because you've got two sections. That's how they can fit all the whole range of spanners there. Obviously, that drops down the same way, and you got another load more there. This one's a bigger one. I'm gonna have a look at the bigger one now. Again, the same thing. The Amtech etching on there. The polished chrome vanadium finish on there. So it's a nice. I'm not too bothered with it. Polish does look nice, always looks nicer than the matte. But you're more concerned about the strength more than anything really. I'd take a decent pair of matte spanners over a real shitty pair of not polished ones that have been polished, but like a polished turd if you want. Any day I think anybody would. The open ends are the usual, the rounded back jaw, not the angled style. So that's not a problem with me, to be honest with you. Personally, I like the open end to be a bit different, because sometimes there's a problem where if you get like a soft nut or a soft head of a bolt, and the ring or the wax end tends to chew the soft corners off the soft nuts, because the way they're designed to work is to grip onto the corners and put all the torque onto the corners of the nut or bolt. So you're more likely to round off a soft one of those soft material nuts or bolts, whereas or something like a copper nut or bolt, you know, the Chinese bolt or whatever you might come across. Well, you're better off in that case using the flats of that particular bolt against the flats of an open-ended spanner. So you put the torque onto the whole of the flats of the bolt instead. I think I was on about that in the last video about changing the oil on the motorcycle. You know, when it comes to the open-ended, I think they talk mainly about spring back. Obviously you're not going to get no real just by feeling it there, like I'm not getting a real indication of that until you start using it. But you know, most things that are drop forged chrome vanadium for home vehicle use, for a definite, are bound sure to hold up, really, unless you start really abusing it, like hitting it, like getting it on the end of the nut and then hitting it with a mallet to get better torque or whatever. Then you start abusing the tooling, you know, things like that can happen. If we take a look at the biggest one, we took a look at the absolute smallest one and a medium sized one there. So we'll get the absolute biggest one out, which is the 19. Again, exactly the same finishing as the other one. But like I say, the polished one does tend to mark, like you get fingerprints and any scratches and things like that that you might pick up on there. But yeah, they seem to be fairly nice now. Again, these are only, I mean, these could replace a set of ordinary or usual combination spanners if you just want a little cutesy set, I suppose. You're someone that wants a little cutesy set, you hardly use them, you might use them every now and again to take off the fasteners, as the Americans tend to call nuts and bolts. We don't usually tend to refer to them as fasteners, but just for anybody else that might be from the States that's listening, you know, if you just want to take some fasteners off a boiler cover or your bicycle to change a puncture on your wheel, or you're just that kind of regular user that doesn't really have any spanners, or you like a small set of spanners to take out away from the holder and put in something like a small toolkit on a motorcycle or on a bicycle. If you're going on a mountain biking thing and you want something small, you know, then these to replace a big usual set, then these obviously will be perfect for that. The obvious thing what you use it for, the stubby spanner, is, like I said before, to get into smaller areas that you couldn't get a bigger tool in. So in that case, you're only going to be using them, you know, as and when that situation arises. So you're not really going to be using them that often, I wouldn't think, over your regular set. If you've got a regular set to you know, to damage them, and really you don't have, remember, you don't have the leverage that you would have with a bigger set. You know, you probably have to put a bit more force into undo a extremely tight bolt compared to you would do with a longer spanner or wrench. So in that sense, it's usually the ones that have got a lot of leverage that you can put a lot of torque in that would snap. Something as small as this, I think, is highly, you know, it's less likely to break or to have one of the jaws of the opening to snap off than say a longer one would, that you would have to actually put more leverage into. You're probably more likely to maybe round out the you know, this part on the ring spanner, the points on the ring spanners, on any little stubby. Okay, so that's the Amtech stubby combination spanner set. and that's the one side, that's the other side. The thing is, I've noticed that some of the spanner, these Amtech spanners, the sticker's slightly different, but obviously the spanners themselves will be exactly the same. I bought two of these, one for the garage, one for the